collaboration with the Cyprus Mail, this is the Cyprus News Digest with Rosie Charalambous.
Coming up this week, there's growing pressure on Cyprus leaders to reach a solution for reunification.
To have the guts to go ahead and finish it. We demand a solution.
Free minibuses are giving car-free access to Nicosia's old walled city.
The majority of people entering the walled part of Nicosia use the car. That is not a long-term solution. As more people visit the old town, if those people all use a car, it would be impossible to satisfy the demand for parking spaces. We would increase pollution, increase illegal parking.
Motorsport fans are gearing up for the Cyprus Rally.
Of course, we need to find always a very, not really rough stages. We know that Cyprus is a very demanding rally, but we would prefer to keep stages as smooth as possible in order not to destroy all the cars.
And we'll hear about an unusual art exhibition in Paphos.
In fact, most of the street is derelict. The street itself is evocative. It's as important as any of the artworks.
A citizens' movement has been gathering every evening at the Lydra Street checkpoint in central Nicosia to pressure the two leaders to reach an agreement to reunite Cyprus. Last Saturday morning, their numbers swelled and a very noisy demonstration took place, culminating in a human chain stretching across the buffer zone. I spoke to a Greek Cypriot and a Turkish Cypriot about why they were there.
We are united Cyprus now. We've been gathering here for the last 13 days, every day at 7 o'clock in the afternoon. Today is Saturday and we have a big crowd at 11 o'clock in the morning. We demand from our two leaders a solution as soon as possible. The negotiations have reached a very critical stage and we want them to have the guts to go ahead and finish it. We demand a solution.
There are support in the north, there is support in the south, and there are also many people who are concerned. And you know that all along the way there have been ups and downs in the negotiation process, and people somehow, there are people who are really fed up with this whole negotiation process, and they don't want to go on the streets for nothing. But we know that there is really an expectation for the leaders to come up with a deal. We don't want to hear excuses, we don't want to get drowned in the details. We just want the leaders to agree on something and let us to decide how we're going to move forward. And this is the whole point of those demonstrations. We might be coming from different political backgrounds. We might be really supporting different aspects of the plan. There will be different concerns in a specific plan in the future, but at the end of the day, first we need to see a plan. And this is our call, so that we can start to have an open public discussion about it. We haven't seen anything. All we hear are rumors and manipulations. And as people, our call for our leaders to come up with a plan so that we'll discuss it.
Also present at the demonstration was Cypriot member of the European Parliament, Tagis Hadjigeorgiou.
Well, all of us, I think that we have to try to reignite the remains, I have to underline that word, of a burning coal to reunite that island. We are facing now a crucial moment again. But I still believe that we need leaders, not only in Cyprus, but even in Turkey and in Greece, who has this broader picture of the future. That's what we need. I'm not sure that we really have it in front of us, but we, the people who are here today, we have to push the leaders to go on.
What's been the reaction in the European Parliament to the breakdown of the talks?
I said many times in the past that European Union has an ambition to see the Cyprus problem being resolved, but I don't believe that they have the capacity, or they try really to push an effort to that. If the solution will come, they will applaud it. If not, they will remain silent. To be absolutely honest, this is a true. But thirdly, I have to say that we need a solution which can be a solution for the future, which is going to be sustainable and vital and for all of us, for Turkish and Greek Cypriots. And this is another element we have to have in our mind.
Do you think the Greek Cypriots are ready for a solution? The biggest downside seems to come from the south of the island.
Well, we are now on the 43rd year after the invasion, and some people, or masses among the people, get used to what is happening. But this is where we are. This is the time we need a leader who can show to the people the road forward. If a solution will be in front of us, yes, I believe that the people will start again to rethink about that and to mobilize again their courage and their energy.
The views of some of those who were present at last Saturday's demonstration at the Lydra Street checkpoint to pressure the two leaders in Cyprus to reach an agreement.
Keep up to date with events in Cyprus and around the world with the Cyprus News Digest.
If you want to use public transport in Cyprus, well, it's easy if you're in the major areas of most towns, not so easy if you want to get, for example, into Old Nicosia. Why? Because the streets are very narrow and most buses just simply can't negotiate them. So the Nicosia municipality has come up with a special series of buses that are on trial now for a couple of months to see whether or not people will get out of their cars and use these new mini-buses to access Old Nicosia. Joining us is Nicosia's mayor, Konstantinos Yorkagis. Konstantinos, there's been a lot of talk about this. At the moment, I think the buses are free, while you have a sort of check as to what they're going to do and how the uptake will be. Tell us the whole sort of thinking behind it.
The whole idea is to be able to give another option in transport. Currently, we have the car, on foot, bicycle. The majority of people entering Nicosia, the walled part of Nicosia, use the car. That is not a long-term solution. As more people visit the old town, if those people all use a car, it would be impossible to satisfy the demand for parking spaces. We would increase pollution, increase illegal parking, and in general, it's not viable long-term. So we decided to go ahead and buy a number of buses and create a small network of what you described as minibuses. They're just small buses that have 14 seats, and we would allow 8 people standing. Let's hope we get those numbers. Because, as you know, not a lot of people use buses in Cyprus. With the hope that people will start parking their cars outside the walled city and use the buses to transport themselves in Nicosia. Also, a lot of people living in Nicosia, in the walled city of Nicosia, or a lot of people that come by bus at Platia Solomou, they may use this network to transport themselves around Nicosia. The old section.
So how often are these buses going to run? Because that's one of the really important things, isn't it? If people have to hang around waiting, they lose patience.
Our target is every 20 minutes and during the weekend until 2 a.m. Currently, the buses pass by this bus stop every 20 minutes, except, which I forget exactly the time, except 2 periods which we have a break of 40 minutes. And right now our service operates until 12 o'clock. So
midnight, you mean?
Midnight, yes. Right now we are in the period where we check for mistakes. It's a pilot period, let's call it.
And you're asking people for feedback. Now, how many people have actually been on the buses? Have you got a record?
I don't know, but I will get one later today, yes.
I
think last week we had, we had 25.
In a week?
In a week, yes. It started without any advertising, without any... we plan to start advertising after a month. of operation to see what mistakes and what problems we have. Also, in a couple of months, we need to fix the pavements where the buses stop so that the access of people on wheelchairs is easier, because we have 16 places, bus stops, where it's difficult for people on wheelchairs to get on the bus. So we need to fix that as well. There's a lot of things that we need to do to start operating properly, but we hope in a month or so we will start advertising as well.
And you will, as I said, want feedback. So
Yes.
what sort of feedback are you looking for?
The time, have we been accurate? Have we been on time? How clean is the bus, for example? Where have we placed the bus stops? We had a complaint from the neighborhood in Nicosia. It's one of the largest residential areas of the walled city, that we should have had a bus stop nearer to them. We have one near Pilia Mohostu, but maybe we should change that.
So you might change the route as well, so that it takes in more of the old city?
I'm not certain if we can change the route, but I will never say never. We will evaluate in a month.
And when are you going to start charging people to go on these buses? Or is it possible to encourage people to use them? You might consider maybe getting sponsorship so that they remain free.
I will not commit that they will remain free forever. We will try to allow for free access until the end of the year, which is not certain. Our first agreement was to be free for 6 months. After that, we will need to try to see if we can get, as you said, sponsorships or money from the ministry in order to continue to have a free service for another 6 months. But it's too soon to discuss this right now.
So they're up and running. You want people to get on them and try them out.
Yes.
You want people then to comment on their experience. Where can they do that?
We have, right now, and I think for the next 2 or 3 months, we have 2 people on the bus. We have a driver and somebody accompanying the driver. The person accompanying the driver is there in order to get information from the people that get on the bus, and also answer any questions the passengers might have.
No online forms or things that they can access?
We also have online, but the best is we have hired people to be for 6 months on the bus just for this purpose.
You mentioned Solomon Square, which is the main bus stop area, but I think they actually run, don't they, for people who come into town in private cars from the old GSP Stadium. So you want people to park in the old GSP Stadium and then jump on the bus to ride into the old part of town.
The old stadium, a long-term plan is, once we get not ownership but management of it, is probably a better word, we will create underground parking space and a park on top. That's the plan. And the idea is that there you can live and park your car and use the bus to enter the walled city of Nicosia. When I was referring to Platia Solomon, I was referring to a lot of people using the general bus network in order to come to Nicosia. And since those people come without cars, it's easy to have access to the walled city with the smaller bus network.
But those buses actually are starting from the GSP and passing through the bus stop.
A lot of stops, yes. I think it will help a lot the people that live in the old, they have a house there. They could use this network to do stuff without getting into their car. And I think that's a big thing. I think it will help a lot all the people that come during Sundays for their day off, and they come with buses. They will be able to use this network. I think the most difficult would be to convince adults that have decided to come for dinner, for example, to leave their car outside and get into the bus to go near the restaurant. I think that would be the most difficult one. I think teenagers will be easier. It remains to be seen.
6 months should give you a lot of information about whether attitudes here are changing to public transport.
I think it will take longer to change attitudes, but we need to be patient and insist.
So, if you want to check out the Nicosia municipality's new mini bus service, then it's very easy. If you go to www.nicosiaminibuses.eu, you'll find a map with the routes, with the buses marked in actual time, so you can actually see where they are on the route at any given moment, and all the details of when they run and so on and so forth. It'll give you a chance to access the beautiful old heart of Nicosia within the walled city. At the moment it's for free, so check it out. www.nicosiaminibuses.eu.
You can subscribe to the Cyprus News Digest on iTunes for free and get the program downloaded to your phone or tablet so you can listen anytime, anywhere.
In collaboration with the Cyprus Mail, this is the Cyprus News Digest with Rosie Charalambous.
The biggest achievement of Crime Stoppers has been the ability of the public to be able to give information about crime anonymously.
There's no way I could have kept prostituting without the drugs. There's no way I could have had my body used like a public toilet, because that's actually what prostitution is.
And then the fourth series I started 3 days after I'd won the Oscar, so the whole of the Monarch of the Glen experience was all interplatted with the Gosford Park Oscar experience.
I was working with Ronnie James Dio, and David was going to reform Whitesnake in 2003.
Cyprus was chosen because Cyprus is a stable, peaceful and secure place.
We have to really look closely. What are we doing with children? What are we doing with adolescents? And what are we doing with adults that can help them move into a more literate situation?
The ones that I'm proudest of are the ones that were true discoveries, where we found something we didn't know existed.
Cyprus' biggest annual international sporting event, the European Rally Championship Cyprus Rally, gets underway next Friday. There are 75 crews from 18 countries on the entry list, and they'll be challenged by the heat in Cyprus at this time of year. The rally is usually held in September, so I asked Jean-Baptiste Lay, the ERC coordinator for Eurosport events, promoter of the FIA European Rally Championship, why the date had been changed, and suggested it would be very tough on the drivers.
Of course, it will be definitely tough and really demanding for drivers to race in the Cyprus special stage in June. But the reason we have decided this are several. First of all, we thought that it was really good for Cyprus Rally to be one round of the first half of the season in order to reinforce the sporting interest. And I think it was a really good idea because now the level of competition here in this year will be definitely stronger compared to last year.
Because last year, we should add, the championship was all but decided, wasn't it? There were a couple of places, but it was really a foregone conclusion.
Exactly. So it was really important for us to bring in Cyprus the top three in terms of quickest drivers. I mean, we'll have the opportunity this year to have the actual leader of the championship, Bruno Magalhães, Portuguese driver, who will fight against Kajetan Kajetanovic, who is double champion and double ERC champion.
And familiar with Cyprus, I think.
And I think it was not possible for him to attend the rally last year, but of course we are very delighted to host him this year. And all these two guys who are first and second in the general classification of the championship will have to fight also against Nasser Al-Attiyah, who is a very strong and very good surprise. Nasser has joined the championship in Greece 2 weeks ago, so we can guarantee a fantastic sporting battle between all three of these drivers. And it's one of the reasons of this scenario is the fact that Cyprus Rally has moved in the first part of the season. Secondly, we know that economy is not so good so far. It's harder and harder for drivers to find a budget to participate to the championship. So we thought that it was really good to put Greece and Cyprus in back-to-back in order to limit the logistic cost. It means that most of the competitors who came in Greece stayed in Greece or Cyprus for the 2 weeks' time in order to participate to both events. It was also one more time a way to secure the strong entry list of the rally this year.
What about the route this year? I see that there are a few changes. What are your thoughts about the route?
Few changes. I think we came back on a full gravel configuration, so the tarmac part has decreased a lot in order
But there are still mixed stages.
Yeah, sure. There are still mixed stages, but the percentage of tarmac is definitely smaller than before, in order to keep a very good gravel configuration and to keep the original spirit of Cyprus Rally. Of course, we need to find always not really rough stages. We know that Cyprus is a very demanding rally, but we would prefer to keep stages as smooth as possible in order not to destroy all the cars in a saving cost strategy.
And your thoughts for this year? Any hints as to who you think might actually walk away with the win? There is no doubt that people who've raced here before have an advantage because some local knowledge plays very well into how you drive the whole race. You don't necessarily go flat out and then, as you've said, risk breaking the car.
Yes, exactly. You're right. You're completely right. I think it is definitely really complicated so far to make a bet on the top three of the event at the end of the rally. The biggest example was 2 weeks ago in Greece, where the scenario has changed many times all during the 2 days of races. And we also had the opportunity to see some local drivers in the top 5, which is really good and great and very encouraging for the local drivers here. So of course we'll have the big battle between the top 3 with Nasser, Bruno and Kaito. But right after, I think we will have also a strong battle between all the others European drivers and the Cypriot drivers.
Finally, let me ask you about the Love Cyprus stage. I think you're thrilled that again has received sponsorship in big prize money from the Cyprus Tourism Organisation. Do the drivers that you speak to feel that is an incentive?
Of course it is. As I told you, one of the biggest difficulties today for drivers is not to race, is to find budget to allow them to race. So whatever we can do in order to help them from commercial and financial side, it's even better. And the initiative of CTO last year to put a big incentive on the stage was really, really much appreciated by the drivers. And I'm very happy to learn that CTO is always aware to continue to support this incentive. And it's definitely a good help for drivers to allow them to participate to Cyprus.
We didn't mention, but we should, that the coverage on Eurosport, of course, is huge in terms of getting Cyprus across the world as a tourist destination as well as a rally destination.
The TV coverage in Cyprus is definitely strong. Cyprus Rally has reached the top level in terms of event brand advertising equivalent value last year. So it's a very, very good brand which has developed and improved year after year.
How much coverage does it actually get? Do you know how many viewers see it?
This year, last year in 2016, we reached more than 11 million of viewers for Cyprus Rally, and it represents more than 83 hours of broadcast worldwide, because we broadcast on Eurosport, which is a pan-Euro channel, but also in 88 other channels, including South America, United States, Asia. So we have a total worldwide coverage.
That's Jean-Baptiste Lay, who's the ERC coordinator for Eurosport events. And the rally will get underway on Friday. There's a free practice and a qualifying stage in the morning just outside Nicosia. But the ceremonial start will be taking place on the Finikoulis seafront in Larnaca at 7 p.m. The race proper will get underway on Saturday.
This is the Cyprus News Digest with Rosie Charalambous.
Paphos is, of course, one of the European capitals of culture this year, and a lot of stuff's going on down there. Music, dance, and, of course, art. And joining us is artist Nick Costa, who's got an exhibition that's rather different, running for the month of June. So, Nick, do tell us about this, because there's a lot of stuff I know going on down in the harbour, but you've actually taken to empty shops around the town.
Yes, the situation in Paphos and in Nicosia and other parts of Cyprus, as you know, there's many empty shops, many businesses have folded. You know, the infrastructure of the island has not been very healthy, and there's a tendency to gloss over that, particularly with Paphos 2017, where they want to show a very good face to the world, but it's not 100% correct. So I decided it would be good to bring people to the heart of Paphos to see how derelict it has become, you know, the businesses that have closed down. And maybe it might revitalise the area if people start visiting it again.
In fairness, though, Nick, the municipality and the new mayor have been working flat out, I think, to renovate the old heart of Paphos, have they not? Don't you think that a lot of new shops are going to open once all the sort of infrastructure works are completed?
No, I don't think so, because we have the Mall in Paphos, which has taken all the business away from Paphos itself. There's not enough people to sustain both things, and it was bad planning to begin with, I think, that permitted them all. You know, people need to think a bit more carefully when they approve things.
So tell us about the exhibition. What sort of art is it? Is it all your work, or have you got a cooperative of other artists together?
It was an art movement that I was one of the founders of back in 2005. It actually spread across the world, so it attracted about 60 people worldwide, some of whom were, you know, very successful artists in their own right. It's basically an anti-art movement, you know, with the understanding that the only person that really understands the art is the artist himself. At the moment, the artist creates the work, and so that's the key thing. Yeah.
But if you want people to appreciate it, they also need to understand what you're trying to say.
Yes, it's accessible imagery. So it's not abstraction at all. So if you see the images, you know straight away what it's about. You know, and the images are about human nature, the human condition. You'd have to see it to understand, you know, how we're not that nice, how we exploit each other for our own ends.
It's running, as we said, until the end of this month. And how many shops have you managed to get hold of to put these art installations and works in?
There's about 6 or 7 shops in a row. So it's one end of the street, but in fact most of the street is derelict. The street itself is evocative. It's as important as any of the artworks. You know, it's walking around, seeing the notices for rent, closed down, broken windows, dirt, dust. You know, that is part of the exhibition.
And where is this street?
It's Remnu Street. It's in the heart of Paphos, very near Kennedy Square, which has been done up, very near the Municipal Art Gallery. It's very central. There are signs, but it's also the underbelly of Paphos. You know, it makes me sad to see it. When I came to Cyprus 15 years ago, it was a thriving centre. Many small businesses, many small shops, all closed now, all gone. You know, and it's sad to see it.
Well, perhaps there will be a restoration of the way things used to be. You never know. It is starting to pick up here in Nicosia after these last couple of very difficult years for businesses. So, is there a Facebook page, an event? Where can people find out more?
They'll find it on Paphos 2017. There's a write-up there, and also a website is nickcosta.com.
So Nick Costa, spelled NICCOSTA.com, and the details in all the literature for the Paphos European Capital of Culture 2017, flyers and programmes and so on, I imagine. Best of luck with it, Nick, and I hope that, as I said, in the future, perhaps, we'll see a new life springing into the area you talk about in the heart.
The idea of doing the exhibition there is to draw people there and realise, you know, that there are parts of Paphos that could do with more business and more people walking through.
More TLC. So if you'd like to go and have a look at those artworks, you know where to go. And thank you very much indeed, Nick Costa, for joining us.
Thank you, Rosie.
Well, that about wraps up this edition of the Cyprus News Digest. Many thanks for your company. Hope you'll join me next week. Till we meet again, take care and God bless. Bye-bye now.